Yeah, the reason for that is that, these LLMs are designed to serve their customers, basically.
Hmm.
ChatGPT, you are paying ChatGPT a subscription. The algorithm is designed in a way to make you happy and keeping you attached to it so that you don't go to other platforms. That's why it never tells you it's a bad idea.
No.
Whatever you ask, whatever you ask, it says, oh, that's a great idea. Or if you ask a legal advice, normally it says, okay, yes, let's do this. It can be done, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
it's because it doesn't want to disappoint you. And actually, recently, I heard OpenAI try to tweak the algorithm in a way to be more honest, and people don't like it, and they
No.
don't want to lose their customers. After so many years, we found someone who always tell us that you are right and
Yeah.
let's great idea, this and that, and people are getting used to it. But for us lawyers, it's
Mhm.
dangerous, especially you and me are senior enough to understand
Mm.
when it hallucinates and when it gives you rubbish. But imagine a junior lawyer asking a question and thinking that, wow, this is a good
Mm.
answer, doesn't know that actually it's not a good answer. It could be wrong, and it could be just part of an answer. I've I've tried it several times, and sometimes it gives me a partial advice. And when because I know the law, and I say, "What about this?" Ah, yes, you are
Yeah.
right. That is an excellent addition.
Yeah. It's
So you can't.
yeah, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, it's and it's a it's a sycophant, isn't it? It's constantly trying to, whatever you say, it's trying to please you, and and it flip-flops very easily. So you'll say, what do you think the answer
Yes,
is here? And it'll go, oh, I think you should use, section whatever it is of this site. This will be really good. And you go, but that doesn't apply to this case, does it? And it goes, no, you're right. That we shouldn't use that. And you're like, whoa. Imagine, imagine you paid your lawyer to give you advice and that's how they responded. So
yes.
it's dangerous.
And the algorithm, again, it's designed in a way because it consumes energy, It designs in a way to be more efficient.
Mm,
So it doesn't go beyond what you ask. So the prompt itself is very important. So a junior lawyer cannot put together a prompt that can get a proper answer from the platform,
yeah.
whereas a more senior lawyer can give a better prompt. And normally it gives you as basic as possible. And then if unless you ask further question, it doesn't give you the full
Hmm.
answer. So it is again the algorithm, it's right to be like this, it doesn't want to waste energy for nothing. Maybe you're just asking a question. But
Yes.
the key to it is to understand the technology. If we understand the technology, then we understand the language and then we can make the most of it. If we don't understand how they work, what is the difference between Claude and ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot? Each one of them is different in terms of their backend, their ethics, their model, how
And the output as
transparent
well,
they are.
the output between the two is very different, I've noticed, even with the
Yes,
same prompts. I think,
yes.
and understanding what each is good for is, I think, a really is really valuable. Like for instance, for me, ChatGPT, I think, is very good at high level, kind of a really good bird's eye view, broad take on something really quickly. It will go, oh,
Mm.
here's some good ideas about this. Whereas Claude is quite forensic and it will ask more questions, and
Yes,
I've noticed, and I've researched this as well, it's able to hold more documents in its brain
yes.
compared to ChatGPT, and so if
Uh,
you've got bigger documents that you want to look
mm,
at in any way, I find Claude to be preferable. I don't know whether
mm.
you've experienced that as well, but
Yes, yes. Yeah, I've actually done a couple of patent applications with
Mhm,
Claude,
mhm.
which was quite impressive.
Yeah.
I showed it to a couple of patent lawyers, and they say, we know this is done by AI, but this is impressive. I said, okay, I knew that what I was gonna do, and I fed the right prompt, but the outcome was amazing. It even drew for me the diagram and everything I needed in that application. So basically, it saved a lot of time. Of course,
Yep.
you can give it to a patent attorney
Hmm.
to look at it and tell you what is missing if they know the technology, whether or not it's patentable or not. But yeah, it can be a great help in speeding up the process in
Absolutely.
many possible cases.
Yeah, yeah. The output from Claude is impressive. I'm starting to look to that a little bit more when it comes to looking, trying to generate specific output. And you touched on a good point. I think that having AI there, if you're feeding it the right instructions, hugely speeds up the process. And I don't
Mm,
know about you, but the thing that what I don't want to be doing is sitting there, typing up hundreds of different pages of clauses. Because
mm,
one, frankly, that's not a fantastic use of my time. It's a bit dull.
mm,
But two,
mm.
if clients are paying me to sit and type, um, they may not be getting the best value for money when there's a machine there
Mm.
that I can put.
Yes,
Maybe it takes me time to construct a prompt and feed it the info it needs, but it will cut down the time by, 50, 60%, maybe 70%
yes,
to actually generate that first draft that we can work on.
yes,
You know,
absolutely. No, we are getting out of this repetitive work, which is good, which is great. It's a great help. I remember having meetings in Leonard Solicitors when I was managing the firm. We had general meetings going back to your note-taking platforms. Whoever I was turning to, can you take notes today? I could see that they don't like it. But somebody had
but
to sit down and take the notes, and from time to time I had to make sure, did you take that? And to make
yeah.
sure that that important point was taken.
Mhm.
Whereas with AI, everything is much easier, and I haven't used a pen for a long time. Maybe you're saying you're taking notes, but I don't even type
Just like this.
anymore. No, no, even I don't even do that. I do most of my typing with voice typing. I hate it
Yeah.
to do the typing, and if I can do voice typing, that is much faster. So even with my phone,
Yeah.
I normally leave voice messages for clients, and
Yeah.
because
I'm with
I
you on
value
that.
my time.
Yeah.
I value my time. I then spend my time doing things that I didn't have time to do because I have more time at hand. That is the beauty of AI, I think.
So I think, I'm with you on this. I totally agree. And because this goes back to the billable hour as well and an hourly rate. And I'm not going to go, I could go off for a long time on this, but I won't. Um, but when you're not every billable hour is the same value. This is what I think. You could pay me to sit in a meeting for 2 hours with you, right? And
Mm,
do some strategy talk, and you will get a lot more out of my brain as a lawyer within those 2 hours than if you said,
mm,
go and type me up a meeting note for 2 hours,
mm.
right? And so, lawyers are somehow in some firms still doing these tasks themselves, but then charging the client the same
Mm,
hourly. Say your hourly rate is £250 an hour. They're still charging them £250 an hour to spend 2 hours typing
mm,
up a note, right?
mm.
Or
That's
they'll
true.
maybe, get maybe if they've got admin support, the admin support will do it, but they're still going through and they're going to have to check it, reformat it, send it, all that kind of stuff. And someone's going to have to take the notes. You have to pay for someone to actually sit down and take them. So I think the point is that, especially working on fixed fees helps that because they're paying for an outcome anyway rather than per hour.
Yes,
But then throwing in AI into the mix as well, then
yes,
you're really getting value for money because you're only really paying
absolutely.
for the strategy, the meaty stuff that you want your lawyers
Yes.
to do. I use voice typing as well, just on that point. I I found because I used to when I worked at BLM and Kennedy's, we'd always have people typing up our notes. So we'd have a dictation device. And we'd say, okay, I want to email reports to the client. We've talked about this case, blah blah blah. So you do a whole report. They come back, you check it and send it. That saved a lot of time. But now that I'm
Mm.
a solo, I don't have that luxury. So I've
Yes.
turned more to auto dictation, and I tell you what I find really good is the Google. I better not switch it on by accident. Oh, it's looking at me. The the when you say it and it sort of pops up. it's the Google typing that you can do through the voice typing through the keyboard. And through
Yes.
the I find that to be really good. And also the
Yes.
voice typing through um Outlook as well on their emails.
Yes.
I
Yes.
find that to be pretty good. But I'm yet
Mm,
to find the one in Word I think is a bit rubbish, and I'm yet to find something I can kind of an app or something that I can use across all my platforms that's consistently accurate and can
mm,
use can understand legal terms, can get the right grammar
mm,
and punctuation, which is a bit hit and miss for me with some of
mm,
the Microsoft Word stuff.
mm, mm. Yeah, that is a good point. Maybe there is a gap for a platform or something that does the typing across everything. So basically, as
Mm.
soon as you open anything, your voice typer comes in, which
Hmm.
is powered by AI. It can understand what you're saying and sometimes correct it for you, and
Yeah.
then give you the draft, and then you say it's okay. Copilot has it on my Outlook. I use it as well on WhatsApp here and there. Google as well. It has this. So yeah, that could be a life-saving solution.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll have a think.
Absolutely. I think the point of using technology brings us back to fixed fee.
Mm.
You cannot
Mm.
again you cannot go back to clients knowing that you spend 1 hour altogether to draft this contract and then say that I want to charge you 5 hours on an hourly basis. This is
Mhm.
unethical,
Mm.
and also your client would feel it. When
Mm.
someone lies, there is something, a tag is attached to it somehow. It goes
Yes.
past on the energy of the fact that you are lying. Your client will get it, and that damages the relationship in a way, and you don't want to do that. Whereas if you say, I'm going to charge you uh, 550 for this work, it's fixed fee,
Mhm.
and you don't say how much work you're gonna do. Your client knows that you are using technology, but they are paying you not for your hour. They are paying you because they know Mark. They know that
Mhm.
a lawyer with experience has done it and put your stamp on it. This is where your value come in, and you are honest and you are transparent. I think that is the future. There is no argument, no much argument for the hourly way, I think. And in Australia, actually,
Yes.
93% of the firms have already moved to fixed fee.
Wow.
That's a
That's
huge.
interesting. I mean, it's I think in England it's we're still really attached to the hourly rates. And when I started Straight Line Legal, I said, right, fixed fees, that's going to be one of my selling points. And I almost hope that other firms don't do it because then it will still be my selling point. If everyone's doing fixed fees, then I lose one of those unique selling points for clients, because at the moment I do think it is a big boost for my business to say, look, I'm not going to do
Yes,
open-ended hourly rates on this. I do, from time to time, clients ask, and I will do hourly rate, or some work is better suited to it. But for the vast majority of cases, for the transactional work that I do particularly, I will give a fixed fee. That will either be a stage or to do the whole thing.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Things
and
change. In the past, somebody used to go to a lawyer. I want you to do this job, and they knew it. They've done the work before, and the lawyer says, "Okay, I'll do it for you. This is my hourly rate." They didn't
Mhm.
have internet to go and check, find another lawyer immediately. They didn't have access to this technology so that quickly they can compare. They didn't have much choice, and they would submit to it. Whereas
Yeah,
now, immediately they go on the internet and find someone else, and they see that someone is doing it cheaper. It's fixed fee. You told me you're gonna charge me 10 hours,
mhm.
250. I found someone who does the whole thing for £300. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's why transparency comes first, and I think hourly rates way of working is getting out of date, unfortunately. That's my
yeah,
view.
agreed, agreed.
Okay, so I think we are getting to the kind of final part of this discussion. It was really fantastic, Mark. So, do you see any, uh, what do you see an ideal law firm in future? What does it look like? How does it look like? An ideal small law firm in future? It's a difficult question.
It is a difficult question. I don't profess to be a kind of, law firm or marketing guru or anything like that. But I think, you know, the, I think the future law firm, what would be the ideal law firm is maybe a different question to what I think the future law firm would be like. But I think where I see us going, and based on what we discussed in this call, I think there'll be a lot more, hopefully, a lot more technology integration to make clients'
Mm,
lives easier, to make the lawyers' lives easier, to keep kind of costs down and competitive.
mm,
And I think, it doesn't need to be rocket science, really. I think if we can just modernize the industry a little bit, and put more of the kind of focus on the clients and less on the corporate showboating and big fancy offices and paying for
mm,
things that clients don't need, then I think we'll be heading in the right direction. A lot of the things I adopted when I moved out of the corporate world was to, keep the business model lean, rely, I do everything remotely. So clients aren't paying for me to travel. They're not paying for a big fancy office somewhere in the city centre to just look shiny
mm,
and nice when they come in for a coffee. Um,
mm,
I think if we can use technology more, then you won't have three fee earners turning up to a single meeting with a client and charging for three different
mm,
people. AI can integrate to make that cost effective and more streamlined. I think if people can
mm.
cut out, I think the perception as well, that lawyers are stuffy and boring and corporate drones. And yes, some of them are. Well, that is what it is, right? Some of
Yes.
the older traditional lawyers, they're still in that mind frame of I've got to wear a fancy suit, I've got to use big, long, fancy words, I've got to show that I'm smart, I've got to talk down to clients, I can't swear, I can't smile, and I think clients are kind of sick of that. They want
Yes.
humans, human lawyers.
Yes.
They want people who are not corporate drones.
Mm.
And they want to see, modern firms that are embracing technology and with a client focus. I think that's maybe where things are headed.
That's a very good point, Mark. Really, this brings me to the final point I want to make, which you may or may not agree with me. I
Mhm,
think personal branding is becoming more and more important at the age of AI because unless you make your work attached to your personal brand and your name and your mentality and the way you work and your philosophy, AI can do it.
mhm,
So why not? You
mhm,
make it unique to you and you create something which AI cannot do. AI cannot think the way you think, doesn't have your emotions, doesn't have the philosophies that you just explained. So that is
mhm,
why it is important for lawyers and law firms to attach their practice to their personal brand. Something
mhm,
maybe in the past it used to be like this, the name of the firm even was blah blah and co solicitors, like that was the surname of a solicitor in a way.
mhm,
But it wasn't that they wanted to emphasize on personal brand. It was probably something to do with that. Yes, maybe the person wanted to give its signature of the family name to what he does. So initially it was like that, but we are moving away from it. But I think we should go back to making it more personal. And in your practice, I'm sure you do a lot of your personal branding as well. Do you agree with me on this?
Um, I think I do agree with you, but it does depend on what we do. I'm being a lawyer now, but it does depend on what you define personal brand as, because I see a lot of, these, marketing gurus, and who, if people are just listening to this, then I'm doing inverted commas on guru,
Mm,
um, who are sprouting about, everything's about personal brand this, personal brand that, and I don't think they understand what it means, and I don't
mm,
necessarily know if I understand what they mean, but I think. what I take from your point is that clients usually, are buying from other humans,
Yes,
rather
that's
than
what I
buying
mean.
from a big corporate,
Yes.
machine. Which
Mm-hmm.
is why, when lawyers switch firms, sometimes they end up taking a big following with them because that the clients weren't there for the firm's reputation, they were there for the lawyer's reputation, right? So I think, if building a brand is kind of, saying here's how I work, here's what my skills and qualifications are, here's what I can do for
Mm-hmm.
your business, and emphasizing that unique uh combination or kind of formula that you have that no one else
Yes.
has, then I think, yeah, I would agree with you. I think I don't think people come to SLL because they like the look of SLL as a business. Well, maybe they do, I don't know, but it's what it stands for. And what it stands for are my values because SLL is basically me,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes. Yes.
um
Yes. Yes.
and it goes back to the point that I think we may have touched on briefly, but when I started on LinkedIn, I'd come out of being in Kennedy's, and I was okay, and here are 10 things you need to think about to when you are signing a contract, and let me know if you'd like to discuss more. And yeah, I got a little bit of engagement. But when I decided eventually to, after all of the conditioning, break out and become a human and have a personality and get that across in my posts, get that tone across, I got a lot
Yes.
more engagement and I got a lot more
Absolutely.
people contacting me going, "Come, let's have a chat. I feel like you're my kind of
Mm.
lawyer." In fact, very quick story. I know we probably need to wrap up, but I put a post out a while back, and I think the I think the post title was "Why I'm the Worst Lawyer" or something like that, and it was almost, it was almost a sort of anti promotion post where I was saying, I
Yes.
don't bill you loads of hours, so I'm not making loads of money. God, I'm terrible. I do fix fees, and it was saying, I don't just pass you on to different juniors to maximize what I'm billing. It'll always be me dealing with it, even if it's just something simple. I guess, so I guess it was kind of one of those turn it on its head posts. And I got someone I'd never even engaged with before messaging me direct on the back of that, and it said, I saw your post about being a terrible lawyer, and I'd like to have a chat about some work you could do for us. And I just thought that was just, such a great message to receive. Um, and yeah, they signed up and we did some work together. So it's strange, isn't it? But I think if that's what you think personal branding is, then I'm definitely on board with what you've said.
Yeah. Yeah. I finished with this. I was, Southampton. I was having, sometimes I was doing case working myself. I was managing the law firm, but I was going to court. I was doing litigation, some criminal matters as well. And there was this Spanish client whose English wasn't very, very good. For somehow he insisted that I want my case to be dealt by Siamak himself. So he came, I made appointment, came. The first question she asked me was, so are you a lawyer as well yourself? I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I am a lawyer, but yes, I can help you. I'm sure I can help you with that. So she started laughing. So that was just English.
Yeah, yeah, that's brilliant.
But these things can be acting as icebreakers. Your post broke the ice and you got a client,
Yeah.
and yeah. Thank you so much, Mark. We'll be in touch again.